Music, dun dun dun. Welcome back, everyone, to Phil's Recap and Review, The Walking Dead, Season 8, Episode 4, Some Guy, the recap and review. Holy shit, Shiva died. We're going to talk all about it in this episode. First off, I do want to apologize, A, for being a little bit late to start, as some of you may be able to hear. The audio for this podcast is going to be particularly awful. Like, I don't even need to use that microphone. Like, that microphone doesn't have to be sit in front of me. Something was all fucked up. Not the fun kind of technical difficulties, but I had some technical difficulties at the start of the show. So I apologize for bad audio. We won't be able to take any voicemails tonight or take any calls or play any music or do anything fun. It's just going to be a shitty, or do anything. But what is awesome about tonight is we got the live motherfucking chat. We also have a very special guest tonight to recap this episode. Joe Dirty Locks can only join us every other week, so I'm going to try to bring in some guests from the outside. One of my motherfucking greatest guys out there I brought in tonight, Tony Teflon. Welcome to the show, Tony.
What's the deal, my people? You know it is the Don Tony Teflon, and I'm back at you with another one, and I'm motherfucking happy to be here. You know the Don, I don't really be talking Walking Dead and stuff, but I watch Phil's show every week, you know what I mean? So hopefully I can do justice filling in for my man Joe Dirty Locks. I don't think I could ever do as good a job as he could, but hopefully I could do with some justice here. And listen, they must have knew the Don was coming on when they put this episode out, because they knew they was about to catch it, because I'll give it to you, but I can't give it to him on this one. I have to give it to him a different way.
I am excited, Tony, because I don't think I've ever heard you actually talk about The Walking Dead. I've heard you make a couple of references, a couple of posts here and there about the beginning of this season, all out wars coming, bring it. I have a feeling are you familiar with the source material? I'm not so much. So maybe you can tell us, like, how well do you think so far? What do you think of this season so far in The Walking Dead in general?
Well, The Walking Dead, I've read the comics. I love comics. I read comics, a billion comics my whole life. Nothing all about that. But I just have to say that in the beginning, when it first started out, I really liked the show, and then it fell off. I think it's like I'm the same way everyone else feels. To me, this motherfucking show, is like a bad fantasy football player. The worst fantasy football player you could have. And that is the guy that you put in and he knocks it out the park, and you put him in again, and then he shits the bed 2 weeks in a row. You put him on the bench, and then he knocks it out the park. You put him back in, and then he shits the bed. That's what we've been getting with this show right here. But this episode, without a doubt, to me, I would say is the best episode in the past 3 years.
It's funny you say, Tony, and I know usually we shit on The Walking Dead a lot here, as people know. It's not the best. We're not always positive about The Walking Dead, but I have to say I agree with you. And there are some problems. There's some things I'm going to nitpick about this episode, as I always do. But I'd say in general, for the most part, I really like this episode, and it's not because of what necessarily happened. It was mainly because of the acting performances. I fucking hate Ezekiel's "thou art Shakespearean" fucking nonsense. But you know what? That fucking actor came to fucking play tonight. I know people are like, fuck him, but you should whatever. The dude, with whatever they gave him, fucking ate up scenery tonight in an awesome fucking way. And I loved his whole arc from beginning to end in this particular episode. Carol kicked ass. There was a minimal of whining and bitching about emotional nonsense in this episode. And Daryl and Rick came in and played Fast and the Furious for a little while. This is exactly the kind of tempo and feel I want out of a Walking Dead episode. I don't want it to be too serious. I don't want it to be like too goofy, but I want it to be just right. And I actually, fuck me, I like this episode, Tony.
Yeah, no doubt. This is a great episode. Ezekiel, this was his episode to shine. And they showed you why. I know a lot of people don't like the way he talks and everything else, but you have to have, when you're a leader and you have a group and you're in a gang, you have to have someone that's there to motivate you. You have to have someone that to look up to. You can't just fight for yourself. It's not enough a lot of times for human beings to fight for themselves. So you need something to fight for. Ezekiel is that, whether the way he talks, whatever, he gets people to follow him. I think he realized that at the end of the episode, when he tried to, he broke down. But at the end of the episode, he realized why I think people do follow him and what he really is and stuff like that. And what he has become. It doesn't matter who you used to be. You know what I mean? This was basically a Saving Private Ryan moment. You know, this is when he's telling you, I'm a fucking dentist in my real life. Now I'm out here, I'm a fucking soldier. You know, Ezekiel's like, oh, I'm a zookeeper, man. I'm not no king. You are a king.
I am not.
You are that. To them, you are.
You are, and that's one of the things that this episode was about. It was about he might be full of shit. He might have started this for just silly reasons in some fashion, but ultimately, to people like Jerry, that's what's keeping him alive in this situation, is that insanity, that goofiness. I thought that was handled pretty well. Sam in the live chat says, Phil, I love you, but no, this fucking episode sucked. Albert said this episode was cool, and I forgot to say hello. I think I have something mildly fixed. I think I sound slightly better right now. And hello to the live fucking chat. The motherfucking chat, welcome. Great to finally see you guys. I think I somewhat have something fixed. Sean says, wow, we crying for some animal when some glorified red shirts like Carol, who is not the character for the comics, is still alive, says Sean Bowman. Should I sit or start King Ezekiel on my fantasy team next week, says Steve. Summer flashbacks, just as sheer leadership goes. Negan's greater than Ezekiel. Okay, so that's another thing I want to bring up.
Wait, that was ridiculous. That is ridiculous. Negan is not better than Ezekiel portrayed in the show. If you're looking from the comic books portrayal over, there's no way I can't see that. I don't like Negan in the show. I don't like the guy playing him. I don't like him at all. Not at all.
I'm with you, and I've said it ad nauseum. I think it was poor casting. As much as I like this actor in some things, I think Negan, there's a lot of other people that could have played Negan a lot better and made him more intimidating and less
too small. He's too small. You look at him in the comic books, he's not that small. When you're beating somebody with a bat, let's go to Inglorious Bastards, all right? Would you have in that show, when the guy comes out there, a little skinny man whistling with the bat, smacking it? Would people care? No. You need a big dude with some big arms coming out there like Bam Bam is about to bust your head off. That's what you need, and he does not portray that to me physically when I look at the guy. I mean, and same thing, and we're going to go a little Game of Thrones. You know, everyone knows I'm known for that. Ramsay Bolton, I said the same thing. He's just not physically intimidating. The guy looks like a hobbit. You know what I mean? How are you going to be afraid of this man? Can't be.
And I was going to say, while you were talking about beating someone to death with a bat, when the scenes that you think about that actually happening, even when people are portrayed as really strong, Robert De Niro in The Untouchables playing Al Capone, or in Goodfellas, it takes some really tough fucking mafia motherfuckers a lot of baseball bat hits to kill Joe Pesci, and Joe Pesci's a tiny fucking dude, as played even in that show, in that movie Goodfellas. They talk about how he's not very big. It takes a lot. So for me, I always thought that he should seem somewhat more intimidating. I know that he's not alive, but someone in my comment section mentioned that James Gandolfini might have been a perfect Negan, someone that looks like that's huge and big and wide and something. And in that way, I think Gandolfini might have, if he was still alive, would have been an excellent choice for Negan.
He would have been a great anything, really, Gandolfini. Just what a great actor. But the physicalness. Now, you can be a small guy, as you said, Joe Pesci. This is a guy who can project that out, that he's a tough guy. He's small, but when you look at him, you may think he can kick your ass on TV. I mean, in real life, you may not feel that when you really see it, but on TV, he can convince you. This guy on TV can't convince me. He can kick my ass. Baseball bat with barbed wire on it, he's not convincing of that. He doesn't bring that across. It's not for him. You need someone who can hold it. James Gandolfini would be a great guy who could pull that off. And there's a lot of other guys you could pull off, but someone with some bulk to him, just like these in the comics. I think would have been better like that. Kingpin-ish.
Yeah, Joe.
Look at that guy. The guy who, I'm sorry.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah, every time you ever seen him in any acting show, Law and Order, and that, you've never seen him do what he did with the Kingpin. But he is so convincing, good of an actor, that he is able to convince you that he will slam your head in the door and break it to hell. I wasn't thinking of Law and Order, SVO, whatever, Criminal Intent when I seen that. I seen him as the Kingpin. He pulled that off. This guy just doesn't pull it off.
And Sam says, you make a good point, Tony. Physically, not what I would imagine, but charismatically, I think he's a good leader. Joe Pesci's a funny guy. Yeah. Joe Pesci's one of those guys that you think come up at him, you're like, oh, Joe Pesci, he couldn't do anything. He's like, you know what? I'm going to fucking rip your fucking dick off and shove it in your fucking ass, you motherfucking piece of shit. And you're like, okay, dude, I'm backing off. No worries, Mr. Pesci. I won't fuck with you. And I do have to say right at the beginning, huge thank you to Timo, who can't join us tonight, but left a $20 super chat donation I saw before the show even started. Wanted to leave this before I went to bed since I can't watch tonight or this month since my job hates me. Hope you guys enjoyed. If so, drink. If not, drink even more. Love you all, from Timo. So, of course, Timo, toast
Timo,
to you.
There you go. Toast to Timo. The Timo toast. It should be a thing how you start your shows all the time.
Yeah, with every show with the Timo toast. So it was a sad episode. I think the way this episode ended was very low, and it's very interesting that usually these episodes end with like a huge bang of some sort, but it ended very kind of dark, and it left me with a sad, uncomfortable feeling. And I kind of dig that. I actually like what they went for in this episode, and it worked. And I know I'm not someone that won't shit on The Walking Dead. So it's not like, okay, yeah, I'm kissing the fucking Walking Dead's ass. I can only call it like I really see it. And this probably was my favorite episode of the season.
Yeah, it definitely was to me. As I said, 3 years, best episode of them all. A lot of emotion, and I think that the number one thing they did here was the walkers were a fucking threat. Yeah. Finally, finally, holy shit, it's called The Walking Dead. And they were really a fucking threat to kill some people. Now, we didn't get the kill. I think they did mess up that way. We should have got a kill. We should have got a bigger death. The baby in a lot of these characters. Some of these guys got to go. I know it's early in the season, but the walkers were a threat. It's very Game of Thrones episode when you look at it, the way I see it, and a lot of emotional stuff going on in this episode. And I think when you combine those things, that's why you got the great episode. Going back to the roots.
Felicia's trying to get your goat in the live chat, Tony. To quote Family Guy. Steven says best episode of the season. John Hamm should have been cast as Negan, says Sean Boehm. To quote Family Guy, Joe Pesci is what tough guys were like in the 90s. What about the guy in the first season of Sons of Anarchy? Oh, you mean Ron Perlman? I think Ron Perlman could have been a decent Negan in the right situation as well. He wouldn't have been a bad choice for Negan as well. John Hamm would have been great. Got to make the walkers a threat again. I mean, ultimately, I think the emotional death that should have happened, and I know some people are going to find this a bigger emotional moment than others. For me, the good stuff in this episode was the Carol and Ezekiel arc, specifically Ezekiel. I thought he carried this episode. The tiger thing, for whatever it's worth, and I'm an animal guy. I really am an animal. I'm rationalizing it, but I had a lot of trouble carrying as the big emotional moment. I don't know. Tony, did you have any? Did you get it all TV emotional for the tiger death?
No, this is not Ghost. This is not Shaggy Dog. This is not a direwolf dying. This is something we were just introduced to. We didn't grow up with them when they were little. We didn't see them like that. So, as I said, they tried to give you that for the big death. I think they probably should have did a character instead. I think that's how they could have had a perfect 10 if they would have did something like that. But no, it had to go eventually, and it went out, and that's it. But goddamn, it was like a video game. These guys were walking across acid fields, and everything was coming out of it. It was like a video game. It was like Pitfall and shit. What the hell's going on?
I know suddenly we're in the Toxic Avenger land. I thought we saw the creature from the Black Lagoon was coming out. The Joker popped out or so. At one point went, ha ha, Batman or something.
Someone was going to come out there with a mop and shove it up someone's ass like a popsicle. I didn't know what was going to happen there. It was nuts.
Yes, there's some fucked up shit. And yes, one more time. I do want to see, can you hear this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome. I just wanted to make sure. So yes, the voicemail line is opened. I have fixed things temporarily, so you guys can call in and leave voicemails at 781-990-8509. We'll take them at the end of the show. You can ask about anything you like, this episode of The Walking Dead or anything else randomly, because we're going to take them at the end of the show, but we'll take The Walking Dead stuff first. But please leave any voicemails or questions you may have, including shit talk, Felicia, if you want to talk some shit in there. So Mickey Rourke is Negan. That would have been a friggin' emotional, crazy thing as well. So my favorite part of the whole episode, though, and this is, I think it's actually fun because I've shit on The Walking Dead so much, it's good to actually talk positively about it. I always talk about how the editing this season has been off a little bit and a little wonky. There was a couple moments in this episode that were done really fucking awesome in like a horror movie kind of way. The part at the beginning when we go from kind of an annoying beginning with Ezekiel giving another speech and you're just like, whatever, probably going to cut down a little bit. But they fade into that him waking up with all the bodies around him and shit. And as he's looking around, there's one part where he reaches down to pick one up and the screen flashes for a second like a ripped body part or something. Like it almost turns into an Oliver Stone Natural Born Killers kind of thing for a moment where they do like a quick 1-2 flash of 3 quick images of the bodies around him. And I just thought that was done really well. That was one of my highlight moments of the entire episode, just and of the season from a filmmaking standpoint, because I say this a lot. Walking Dead, when it's good, is style over substance. And I think this episode managed to have the substance feed the style. And I think the style and the imagery really kind of fucking worked. And that doesn't mean it doesn't have its problems. We're not going to pick it apart. If you think I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong in the live chat. Leave me a message about why this episode was horseshit. I want to hear it. And make sure you comment. Leave it in the comment section as well.
No doubt that cinematography in that scene was great. And I think this is what you get right here. You usually get a lot of these speeches. You heard them in all these football movies and stuff. And everyone, they give you these inspirational speeches and everything. And you get that from Ezekiel. But you never see people shit the bed. They always win the game. This time you see they shit the bed. And I like the fact that they shown that. You know what I mean? Because he done that speech and he's rallied his troop. But he's never shit the bed, and you don't know how he was going to react when that ever happened because it never happened to him before, obviously. And then you see it fucking broke him. You know what I mean? Yep. He just lost who he was. He lost everything. It's like Saving Private Ryan. It's really they have a lot of different elements from a lot of different movies I've seen that they put into this episode. Really good one.
Yeah, and it made previous things with him better. I still am, thrown off by a little bit of the thou art whatever. But last episode, I said, oh, his team keeps winning. It keeps winning. At the end, when they faced that big loss at the end of the last episode, I wasn't sure how far they were going to go with that. And the fact that they had most of the people die because of his cockiness and because of all of these games he was playing. And as Tony was saying, showing those fucking consequences for the shit that he was going through, the shitstorm that this kind of attitude in this world can bring upon you, this egocentric sort of attitude. But then again, it also, and this is where the episode, maybe in spite of The Walking Dead, maybe it's by accident, maybe it's the broken clock is right a couple times a day, it managed to also parallel that with showing through the Jerry character and through Carol to a lesser extent that it doesn't matter. Even if he did all that bullshit and it all fucking sucked, it still inspires other people. And in this world that we live in with everything, you need anything to get you through this bullshit. And I think that actually worked in the episode in a way, and I don't know if it was by accident or they tried to do it, but either way, I found it effective.
There's no doubt about it. You see it play out in this episode, the reason why Ezekiel is a leader, why he has to be the leader. I know a lot of people say, oh, he talks a lot of shit. When you have a team of people, like I'm from Queens, New York, you know, I've been in brawls, 20 people, 40 people, really fighting each other like outsiders, dead ass. Been in brawls like that in my life. And when you get into situations like that, you want to have your muscle guy with you. But your muscle guy can't be your leader. Because if your muscle guy is your leader, then you're going to wind up in jail every night, every time you go out, right? Because he's going to be crazy. You need a guy who that muscle guy respects enough to listen to, that inspires everybody else. And you've seen that when you've seen the big Samoan cat run up on him, and that's what he was trying to tell him. That Samoan guy, he can't be a leader. He can't lead. Ezekiel is the leader, and that's why Daryl can't be a leader. If Daryl was a leader, this show would just be buck. Everyone would be dead already. You know, so that's what they were trying to show to you already, that this is the reason why he didn't believe in himself. He lost confidence in himself when the plan just didn't work out for him. Because it always worked out. He believed his own bullshit, but when it didn't work out for him, he just fucking freaked out and fucking lost. But these people still believed in him, even when he didn't believe in himself.
So let's jump in the live chat for a second. 1998 says the king is dead. He's over himself now. Patricia says, I hope he stops speaking like that. And Jerry Mathers says, Negan, we got a lot of suggestions as Negan. Jerry can lead. Hope says Sandman. I agree with Tony. I don't think Jerry is someone that is cut out for leadership, but he's cut out for kicking some serious ass and being a fucking, I love that scream. Jerry's scream, the it's fucking crazy.
You need a guy like that. When you go out, when you in a bar, anyone's been in a situation. When you go to the club, you go out with your friends. You got your crazy friend with you. You know that crazy guy who's gonna punch anybody in the face, do whatever. You're safe with him. But you know he can't run the show because you're in jail that night. Because you know he's gonna do something crazy. So you need someone that guy respects enough to listen to him when you say, hey, man, calm down, bro. This ain't, let's just go home on this. So we don't need to do this one. You need that guy, and that's who Ezekiel is. You know what I mean? That's what it's all about, and that's what they showed in this episode.
Live chat, Sam, and Jerry can lead. Carl Drogo as Negan. If Shane was the leader, Negan would be dead and have impregnated two of Negan's wives. Love Tony's shirt. It's also great to see him talking Walking Dead since 1998 championship. That's why Shane's a good option. Steven says Shane was too hot-headed to have survived this long. Is because Jerry's fat. Nymeria, the governor, would have killed Negan and kept his head in the jar. Great to see Nymeria. Oh, Felicia left a voicemail. We will play a little bit later. Also have a message on Discord from Sam. Hey, before I forget, donated $20. Thank you, Sam, and thank you, Ren, and thank you to Timo for that $20 super chat donation. And now let's not waste any more time. Let's get into this. Let's get into this fucking thing. Hopefully, I can play this and it actually works. Let's play. Let's get to this recap. Okay, I want to get into this fucking episode. So we open up and we see a guy in the doorway. He turns the light on and it's Ezekiel. He in this image, even though I think they did a great job at setting up, because when I first saw it, I go, oh, this is a flashback. And this is a thing that The Walking Dead doesn't do well. Some shows do changes in time and the way they institute flashbacks and shit like that. The Walking Dead has confused me to the point where I'm not sure, like they kind of just throw flashbacks in at random times, you know, like Carol's thinking, let's throw in a flashback. Okay, like where did the fuck that come from? Why the fuck's it happening? I mean, you can figure it out why it's happening, but still I don't like overusing this word. Some shows do flashbacks and they're organic to like what's happening. The Walking Dead just are like, you know what, Tony, let's do a flashback of how we met. Boom, here's a flashback. You know, Tony calls me up, asks me to be on the stream. Like it's unnecessary at certain times. So there's that. But anyways, we see Ezekiel. And I like in this scene how there's no music. There's nothing. He's shaving. It's backstory time. He's getting his look down. He's setting himself up like a character getting ready to go on stage. He's getting his look. He pauses in the mirror, changes himself, sets himself up before he goes on stage, and he heads out. Anyone who's ever gone on stage before or done a performance, this is exactly what he does. This is all a performance. And I don't know. I like this opening. Do you have any thoughts on this scene, Tony?
I thought that the opening was really good, especially when you see this guy getting ready. This is, if you ever hear the line, fake it till you make it, this is what's going on right now. This is a fake it till you make it moment. And listen, I had a man, Scotty Gotti, you know what I mean? He would have $10 in his pocket, but you would swear this motherfucker was rich. You would not believe how this motherfucker would stretch $10 like a half-baked episode and going on the date. The way but that's what they're showing you here. I thought they did a really good job showing it. And it's, as I said, it's set up to show you that this was going to be his episode, and it really was his episode.
And we've gotten, up into the first half of the season, we've gotten a lot of everybody in the episode flash from point to point. I don't want every episode to be a bottle episode, but I like how they kind of they did this in this episode and focused on his character to try to make us care about him more, because up until this point, I didn't really give a shit about his character. I'm not saying I love him now, but it was still a good episode. Like, there's a good performance is a good performance, even the character that I don't necessarily love. So he gets in there, he looks, he turns out the lights. Then we go off to the kingdom. The folks are there. He's hugging a group as we see the end of this is before the end of before last episode, like their mission. Ezekiel's watching from the castle. He heads out from his perspective, from the like a trailer thing as he's walking out. We see the tiger, we see the camera, and the tiger's like, 'cause I'm a tiger, bitch. And then we keep following Ezekiel as he walks back, and he finds a little kid that looks like strangely a lot like Ollie. No, he looks a little bit like Ollie, and he tells the kid to be brave. You know, you got to be brave, kid. Be brave.
Fear not, young Master Henry. You will be brave.
And then it's time for him to eat up some scenery.
Our lives. Our way of life.
Okay, I could play all of that, but you guys get it. He gives a speech, and the speech maybe goes on too long, maybe not long enough, maybe it all kind of blends together as one giant speech that he's had. It's a good speech. We're with us. We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Is the kingdom a cult, Tony?
You know, that's hard to say. Is if it's a cult. I don't believe it's a cult. It just have a good person that they follow. You know, a cult would be something that you are held against your will, that you don't want to be there, that you are being influenced to stay against your will, even when you don't know it, or even when you feel like going, you feel you cannot break away. I don't think that anyone's being forced there, so I don't think I consider that a cult.
And what's up, motherfucking chat? I tend to agree too, and I don't even think the Saviors would necessarily be a cult. I think maybe some of them are being a closer thing to that, but I think a lot of those people are there because they want to be too. It's just they believe in a different kind of thing. There's a lot of assholes out there. And someone mentioned earlier, as we meet our the glasses, whatever that dude is that we meet later, we'll talk about him a bit later, is every guy that goes with Negan just a piece of shit? Like, is everyone just like a wisecracking dickhead? Like, every one of them is cracking wise, you know? Like every single one of Negan's dude knows how to shit talk. It's just a funny coincidence. And welcome to Tim F in the live motherfucking chat. Felicia, to drink or not to drink? I think the only answer is to drink in this situation. It's Sunday night, beginning of the week. It's going to be a long week. Drink the fuck up. So he gets really into this speech, and then we get a transition to the end of last week's episode where the kingdomers are just shot to fuck. I mean, like you just see body parts and stuff. This is pretty extra graphic, even for The Walking Dead. You just see like body parts ripped apart. Tony was talking about Saving Private, Ryan earlier. It's similar to that, where it looks like just bodies parts ripped apart, and look at faces of death fucking thing going here, as it seems to be that Ezekiel is the only one alive, and now he faces an interesting situation. And Tony mentioned this earlier. It's something we haven't seen for a while on The Walking Dead proper. I don't watch Fear the Walking Dead, so I don't know what that show does, but on The Walking Dead proper, a moment where Ezekiel's sitting there dead, and you think, holy shit, all these dead people around him are going to start to reanimate. He's fucked. The walkers are a danger. And that's the biggest part of this episode that changed this. And I think why Tony liked this the most in 3 seasons, he said, and this is my favorite this season so far. And I already said I liked all the episodes for this season better than all of last season. We felt fear from the walkers again. And I like that, Tony. I like that we felt that freaking pressure right there on Ezekiel as he was like, fuck, I'm in a fucked up situation right here.
About it. So when you see, this is another situation of someone giving advice, but can't take his own advice that he gives. You know, telling the kid to be brave when it's all said and done, but he wasn't able to be brave. He didn't believe in himself until he had to believe in himself. At the end, he just wanted to sacrifice himself. I thought that crazy line was like, this ain't working. That was a great line. When he said that, that made me laugh. That was a very realistic line. Especially, you know, when you go from the last week's episode to this kung fu fight that was terrible, you know, to this realistic 50 caliber ripping through people. This was like the last Rambo movie that Sylvester Stallone directed, the way these bodies were falling. And then to see the people that you went out there because you inspired them to go out there, die, and then get reanimated. And you know what's going to have to happen at that particular time. It just really was a great episode and a great scene. The whole setup for it was really great. And I do believe going through Game of Thrones, we will see this. Exactly what you just seen right here, just with swords in next season of Game of Thrones.
I hope so. I hope it create those kind of stakes, and because not to get too far in the Game of Thrones thing, I think they're facing a similar problem after the end of the last season of I want the White Walkers and the Whites to feel like a threat, and not that our hero characters could easily dispose of these people, these creatures, these forces of nature that should feel like something that's just unsurmountable at times. And I feel like in this episode, we were able to get that. And Steve wanted to say in the live chat, before that goes too far past, the Saviors are pretty close to a cult, the I am Negan thing and all. Good point in the way that he fucks their wives, and if they try to leave, you lose your wife. So yeah, the Saviors are probably the closest thing to a cult, a lot closer to a cult. And so we transitioned to the end of last episode where the Kingdomers are just shot the fuck, and now he's faced with an interesting situation as he still needs to worry about the danger from the Saviors, but also from the Walkers. As he looks to all of his friends, and they're all dead, panic sets in as everyone's dead. We get this weird flash I mentioned earlier of an edit where we see a bloody hand and hear him screaming. And it goes silent. Great music, great job. As he notices that one person becomes a walker, and then the domino effect happens as they all start to go and they all start to bite him, as they also injure his legs too, to up the ante a bit, and he's surrounded, backing away as the walkers come after him. We come back into Ezekiel's backing away, another good visual of him backing away. And there's so many times in this episode, Tony just mentioned this, where he kind of gives up, where he's like, yeah, I'm done. I'm done. He lays back. I'm done. And someone saves his ass. Jerry saves his ass. Carol saves his ass. The tiger goes, motherfucking tiger, and saves his ass. Like, it's interesting that Ezekiel just gave up. I wonder how his personality is moving forward, but we'll talk a little bit more about that at the end. So anyway, so a couple people come in. One dude comes and saves him, but I'm not sure his name. Guy that dies really soon. Then we head inside where the Saviors are loading a huge fucking gun, and Carol's about to do her Rambo thing. So what did you think about Carol in this episode, Tony?
Carol is Carol, and she gets getting back to basics of just killing motherfuckers the way she kills motherfuckers. You know what I mean? She's very crafty in her scene, and this was their episodes and stuff. And when she was pinned down and everything else, I felt for Carol. I didn't know how it was actually going to end. I know she wasn't going to die. And that's the problem with the show. But I didn't know how she was going to get out of it and stuff. But I thought Carol it was really strong this episode.
Yeah, she goes into John McClane mode where she ends up in a ceiling tile and shooting the Germans shooting the Saviors from the thing. Easy peasy. Make sure she's out, and then she runs away. She grabs some guns. She backs away. Then we go to Ezekiel and the Kingdom guy. I forget his name, as they walk, and he's shot by a Savior with the glasses, and the Savior grabs him and he's like, "You're fucked, King, your highness." And this guy looks like a guy that's like, Tony, you sure got a purty mouth, Tony. That's what this guy looks like, a fucking pederast dude. They get the creepiest dude to play the Savior guy. Everyone but Negan, sorry Sam if you're still listening, everyone but Negan in the Savior hierarchy is really fucking good. The dude Trevor from Grand Theft Auto, Stephen Ogg, that's also in Better Call Saul 2, that plays, I always forget, Simon on the show. This guy, this creepy dude, some of the other Savior dudes that they get, they play Swarmy, and they're a fucking bunch of Marin Trent motherfuckers, these Saviors. And this guy I thought stole some screen time tonight too. I thought he did a real good job in this antagonist role.
No doubt they got a bunch of Deliverance looking cats up rolling with them, you know what I mean, playing banjos and shit. And that's the way they see. But you know, if anything was a little bit weaker or anything like that, you could say there's a little bit too much talking there.
Yeah.
I mean, in a real life situation or something, if you just went through what you went through like that, and you got this guy right here, it's time to blow his head off and then walk off. And that's what should have happened. But you know, it's a show. You can't just do it like that. You know what I mean? But realistically, he should just blew his head off and did that.
Unless you're Daryl, he'll do it in that situation. But I agree, Tony. And I put that in the notes too. That guy, he totally did the villain monologue thing a little bit too much. Like they all go to that Negan monologue school when it's like, no, just shoot the guy now. Shoot the guy now. Monologue afterwards. It doesn't matter that they hear you. And trust me, I'm somebody. I do podcasts that like 2-3 hours of just me talking alone. I obviously like to talk, but if I wanted to kill somebody, if I see a spider or a bug or something that's like scary, that I have to kill and get out of my house, I try to get it out if I can, and I have to fucking kill that thing. I'm not monologuing to the bug. Listen, bug, you know, it's either, you know, I've been sitting here in a situation for a long time, man. It's you know, I've been wanting to kill you. I mean, I don't go that far. You just kill the fucking thing.
That's the way you just take it out. You know, I'm not over here. I'm not, if someone's shooting at me and I got beef, I'm not finger painting blood on your face. I'm not having fun with you. You know, this is not arts and fucking craft school right here. This is the fucking apocalypse, right? There ain't no time for that bullshit, man. You blow his head off and you keep it moving. And that's what you normally do. That's why you get what you get.
It's war in the apocalypse. You're at war in the apocalypse. There's no fucking rules. That's why I keep saying Daryl has this shit right. Just fucking bang, bang, bang. Ask questions later. Worry about your humanity after all the bad guys are gone.
Indeed.
And welcome to Catagate. Just saw the episode. Not bad. What have I missed? You missed that. And again, because Tony and I can't do one podcast where this isn't mentioned. It could also be that Tony and I have been in the desert and we've been starving for a long time, and someone handed us a Walking Dead cracker. And this is the best cracker we've tasted in a long time, because it's the first thing to me that's made me care on The Walking Dead in a long time. And I don't know if that's a credit to the actor that plays Ezekiel and the performance that he gave, or because I don't think it's the writing, and I don't think it's a lot of other things on the show, but I think it's partially the atmosphere, the editing. Like, a lot of things worked in this episode. Tony made but when it gets into the monologuing, what Tony said is absolutely right. There was still a little bit too much monologuing, waiting to kill the bad guy or kill the good guy. It should just be done. You're over. Like, it's war, silence, you know, kill.
Yeah, we can go back to Private Ryan episode again. There's a lot of things you could draw from that movie to this. Well, you know, when you have that guy with the German guy, when he's ready to kill the guy that saved his life before, and he was stabbing him, he didn't waste. He didn't talk to him like, "Hey, you saved my life before. You did this." No, he just said shh and stood that nice right to him, because this is war. I ain't talking to you. Just shut your mouth and take this nice. I'm not thanking you for what you did for me earlier. Yes, you did save a life, but you shouldn't have. But now you got to go. It's that type of situation. If you're going to protect, if you're going to do a war situation like that, then be more realistic. I understand it's a TV show, so they have to give it a little bit of hype. But man, if you stab me in the stomach and slice me, you're dead. I mean, how many chances do you get? What are you going to do? It's time to crack this guy's skull.
Especially if, like, 20 minutes later you decide, okay, I'm just going to cut his head off anyway. Like, at that point, just cut his head off at that point. If you're willing to kind of cross that point, Negan's going to be okay with you. Okay, you don't get to play the Super Nintendo tonight, but you can fuck one of my wives. Give me the head. Thank you. You know, like, he's not going to be too pissed off. Just kill him. Like, stop monologuing for a second. Anyway, so Ezekiel and the Kingdom guy, don't know his name. They walk up, and this dude dies really soon. So this dude marches Ezekiel, and he starts talking shit to him. And I wrote my notes here. He sure does have a pretty mouth. This guy does, as Tony said, look like a Deliverance kind of guy. And let's listen to a few seconds of this fucking idiot.
Crap you did, you're gonna lie down now.
Better the dead be my end than a desperate, meaningless foot soldier.
I love that. And I also like that fourth wall breaking moment right there, where Ezekiel kind of just says for the writing staff, like,
You know, there's no way we're going to make this foot soldier kill. You know, Tony Teflon has a good point about talking and not killing this guy, but, you know,
Ezekiel makes a good point too. It's totally like this out of like steps out. Like a foot soldier's not killing Ezekiel. It's not going down like that. He's too main. This episode proves the main character. He's not going to die in this episode from freaking Chester the Molester, the fucking savior. It's not going to happen.
No way. It's not going to have some random guy kill someone. It doesn't go down like that in any major show. It's like people, real quick, the Game of Thrones, Cersei Lannister, people think she's going to die. The names that people come up with in the book, some dude named Kettle Black, some dude named this, it's not going to be a minor character that is going to take her out. If she's going out, it has to be a main character. Yeah. If Rick, if Daryl, if someone dies, if Daryl dies, it's going to be Rick. I'm going to tell you that right now. It has to be. There's no other way for him to go out. There's no other person that could put him out of their misery. If one of those guys die, it has to be the other has to kill him to justify it.
Either that or a huge Walker sacrifice of some sort, like something. The Broke Black Man 94 said, "Wait! He just woke up. He's like, did someone say something about Cersei? Wait! What's going on? Broke. It's okay. No, we're not doing the Cersei podcast yet. Yeah, that's coming pretty soon. Winter's coming. I'm going to be talking about Game of Thrones again soon. Winter's here."
So, he just went and grabbed his Vaseline. He's like, hold on, let me get to my closet real quick. My jerkins is in the closet. Let me grab this. You said, Cersei, let me grab that jerkins real quick. I got that. Hold on.
Let me watch 300. Let me watch 300 on replay. So then it flashes over to so Ezekiel shooting some walkers. Ezekiel's like, I'd rather die than have like a no-name foot soldier kill me. I don't know your name. And the guy's like, my name's Negan, of course. And he yells, and anyways, this dude just keeps talking shit, and he just says the tiger's all you got. If you didn't have the tiger, you'd be nothing. You're manipulating your people. You got them all killed. And he calls him a con man and all this shit. He calls him out on a lot of shit, and it gets to Ezekiel. You can see it because Ezekiel's thinking all of that as well. So then they go back to Carol, and she has a shootout, and she seems to be losing from the music and the camera angle. So 1990 champions in the chat at this point in time in the episode said, can't wait to hear Tony's take on this episode. And most podcasters that I listen to say the show needs to think about closing the door, even though they have the comics. Now, Tony, do you think The Walking Dead should be thinking about an end date, or do you think it's a show that could last, as the show creators have said a few times, 20, 30 years? It's like LeBron championships. 8, 9, 20, 30. We can have 40 seasons of The Walking Dead, Tony. It doesn't matter.
No, it's not a soap opera. You know, this is not Stefano DiMera. This is not Young and the Restless. It's not Days of Our Lives. Only those shows can go on forever, right? That's it. Right? There's no other shows that can do it. Unless you're a soap, you could do it. If not, it can't pull off. If I was them, I would really be looking to get out within 2 to 3 years. And maybe go, if it's that popular, you get out 2 to 3 years, you come back, you make a movie. You make another movie, a 2-hour special or something like that, and you come back and you hold it down like that. But yes, it could definitely go out. These guys need to do something else with their life. I'm sure they don't want to be, you don't want to be typecast for the rest of your life. And if they keep doing it, that's what's going to happen. At least the guy who was in there and plays the Punisher now was able to get out of that and stuff like that. But I don't know if Daryl and them will really be able to pull that off if they stay in there too long. You're gonna have to get out of there. They should be thinking about themselves as their own career.
Yeah, I agree too. I think someone said in the live chat that not having an end game hurts the show too. I definitely think it does, and I can't see them. They should definitely set a point where and they can kind of hype it up to that point. And then, as Tony was saying, if you go out while the show is still popular, as right now, even as maybe I do think that this season is better than last season, they're still not doing as well as they were at their height. So a little bit of the bloom is off the flower or whatever, but they're still popular enough that if you kind of announce that season 11 or season 10 is the last season, you kind of like hype everyone up to it. You bring a lot more people back in. You end at season 10. You end things in a way that you could continue it with, whether it be a movie or a mini series or some sort of thing coming back. You end it when it's popular enough to be able to continue. Look at something like Breaking Bad. that ended after season 4 was probably the most popular season, as in getting fans in. The not going to do any spoilers for Breaking Bad, but the lead up to the Gus Fring arc and how that all happened was like the big point that brought people in to watch the show. And then Vince Gilligan was like, I only have one more season. And they're like, no, we need 2. And so they eventually agreed on doing 2 halves of the season, but they ended at the height of that show's popularity. That's part of the reason why it gets such legendary shit. Even something like The Sopranos went on, like they season 6A came out, then it was like, is there going to be a season 6B? There was a lot of sort of like, it got drawn out a little bit. Breaking Bad is an example of it, like went out right at the height. So they were able to go on and do something like Better Call Saul and kind of bring in an audience and be successful with that and have people want to go back to that world. The Walking Dead needs to make people want more. You can't just give it to you all the time. Like keep giving it to you. You need to know when to hold back a little bit.
There's no doubt. Like if they were smart, if they really wanted to get it popping the way they got it popping, they tried to do the Fear the Walking Dead. It's not really that good. It is what it is. They should have took one of their main characters and put them on that show and had that person go over there. I know they want to have them eventually meet up in this different time. If you want to really spin a show off, you have to. Any spin-off show is a spin-off because you have one of the characters from the popular show make their own show.
Yep.
That's why it works. That's what it is. That's what makes it work. You need that. You can't just have the title. They relied on the name, the branding, and said, hey, just from our name, Walking Dead, people are going to watch this show and like it. And see, really, that's not the case. You should have took Daryl. You should have took one of these guys and had them, at least for a couple of episodes, just to establish it. And you could have had them come back over or something like that. And then that show would have been more popular. Then you could have got to an end of The Walking Dead and then continued on Fear the Walking Dead.
Or continue on to like many different ways. You know, Fear the Walking Dead could be more of a like a Tales from the Crypt kind of thing, where you go to a lot of different locations at different periods of time and are telling a lot of different stories. But yeah, it should have been someone like Abraham or something like that that came over and introduced that. They still say they may bring someone over eventually, but I agree. When you have good spinoff, you think of some of the best spinoffs television series ever, they always have to bring one main character or someone that was a great character on a show that was too big for the show that they were on, so they needed to get their own show. And that's the best way. And in whatever, like Frasier from like a comedic standpoint, Better Call Saul, the Jeffersons, like a lot of shows spin off from Happy Days, like Laverne and Shirley, Mork and Mindy. All these shows had these people come in that were so big and talented. Like Robin Williams comes in for one episode. They're like, okay, we got to get this fucking guy a show.
They gave him a show quick. They're like, what? They had to. He was able to fight Fonzie. You can fight Fonzie. You got to get your own goddamn show after that. And you got different
Ninja Fight Fonzie. Get the man his fucking show. Shut the fuck up. Get the man his money.
That's it. You got people that got different strokes. They took Edna Garrett off that show. They made The Facts of Life. This is how you do it. You know, you have a different world spinning off of The Cosby Show with Denise. You moved her over there and put her over there. That's how you do it. You always have some character to move over to that show to get the fans interested to even want to watch it. You couldn't just say the Jeffersons 2, All in the Family 3, and have a different whole family. And who the fuck are these people? Yeah. Why do I care about them? Why do I want to watch it? And that's what they should have did. And I think that's what their flaw is. Maybe they'll straighten it out and they'll start doing that.
Yeah, and fucking don't you mention Denise Huxtable in front of me. Don't you mention Lisa Bonet. I hate it when people mention Lisa Bonet on camera because I get all uncomfortable and shit like that. I love that part in the movie High Fidelity with John Cusack and Jack Black, where they go into the club and they hear her singing like Peter Frampton and they all hate Peter Frampton and they're like, is this Peter fucking Frampton? Yeah, I fucking hate this song. Me too. And they're all just looking at her like, I fucking hate this song. That's how I feel. I'd feel the same fucking way, guys. Lisa Bonet. Yeah,
I think she has a cape hanging out of her shit because whoever gets with her, don't leave her. Listen,
I put that shit on layaway, Tony.
She locks him up. Look at Khal Drogo was done.
Yep, done.
Look, she locked him up. She's 10 years older than that dude. Had no career going on, nothing. He got with her. She married her. He's like, no, I'm good for the rest of my life. And that's it.
Don't forget Joey from the spinoff from Friends. Yeah, Angel Harlow, Angel from Buffy or something like that. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. So anyway, so we come back in and Carol's still behind the car, and then we try to move over. We cut to Morgan, or not Morgan. We cut to Ezekiel, try to make a move on this guy, and this dude just laughs at him, and this is where he doesn't kill him. He stabs him and then he throws him down to the ground, and then instead of killing him in that situation, he wipes blood all over his face and says, "You have delusions of grandeur." Like, okay. Again, creepy but unnecessary, and shows the stupidity of these fucking these saviors. Are they really this stupid? Are they all Batman villains? Are they all fucking Batman villains that they need to like be creepy dudes like this? I don't know.
It was just, what are you doing? You putting war paint on the guy? Why at this particular time? What are you doing at this particular time in your life? Everything that just happened right then. I'm not just gonna go, hey, buddy. I'm not gonna do that. That's not what I'm thinking right there. You know, I'm not thinking anything like that. So that was a little weird to me. It was a little, I don't know, suggestive in many different ways. I don't know what was going on in that guy's mind. I don't know. But the thing that we could see that he did do was he broke him. He called him on his shit, and he made him doubt who he was. You know, and that was the final blow, was not just that his people died and he seen him laying there and everything else. It was this guy's words to him, calling him a fraud, calling him a fake, really ate away at him. And he had no confidence in himself right after that. Cowardly lion.
And Steven, I'm not shitting on the great point. Steven says Phil's shitting on spin-offs. I'm not shitting on spin-offs. I'm saying I was agreeing that you sometimes need characters to come over, and you're mentioning Deep Space Nine, one of the best spin-offs of all time. And in the first episode of Deep Space Nine, Patrick Stewart made an appearance, and you also brought over Miles Edward O'Brien, and you also eventually brought over Michael Dorn playing Worf, and you initially also wanted to bring over Ro Laren, but the actress that plays her didn't want to go over and be stuck into a series because she wanted to kind of do a lot of different shows. So they ended up bringing in Nana Visitor instead. So Deep Space Nine is a perfect example of that, and Voyager is too as well, where they, for the first couple of episodes, they did some sort of transition into it. I think spin-offs are the backbone of certain eras of television. There's a whole era of the shows that we mentioned, all the shows that spun off All in the Family or Happy Days. Those two shows spun off like 27,000 shows, spun off just those two shows. And it's like a whole universe of television of that era came from that. So spin-offs are definitely awesome. Buffy's Spike, let's go. Young DeForest Kelly was the pilot. I don't want to talk about young Sheldon. So he says, he's like, fuck you, you're dead. And he talks and he talks and he talks and he talks. And then they get to this point here on number 12. And let's play a little bit of this.
Give me my sword. We can fight them together. The hell are you doing?
Getting out of here.
And yeah, Tony, I'm sorry to go back on. When he was doing the stuff touching his face, that was the time for the callback line to Deliverance, where you sure got a pretty mouth, Jesus. Not Jesus. I keep calling him Jesus. Ezekiel, you sure got a pretty mouth. So something like that to extra petter asses there, because there was that was a very suggestive, like we're gonna have fun with you. Oh yeah,
it was definitely some cell block shit going on there, without a doubt. You know, there's no doubt he was trying to pull some Oz shit. It seemed like at that particular time.
Yeah, there was some Toby and Vern shit going on right there. So someone was gonna be a tattooed. Someone was gonna be a prag in this situation. So let's play a little bit more of this.
I can't stand on my own. I can't climb that. You don't need
Is what it is. Negan was hoping to have your ass chained to the sanctuary.
So why are you talking right here? I'm sorry. Like, and I know Tony's right. He said it a couple times here. And I know, but I have Jiminy Cricket Joe sitting on my shoulder that's like, what the fuck? Like what the fuck are you talking here in this situation? Why are you telling him Negan had this plan for him? You know you're gonna kill him. You're planning the situation to kill him. Why do you have to talk? Just kill him. Talk afterwards. Talk to his dead body. Go ahead. Have fun. You know, it will matter just as much. You know, like you're killing him anyways. What you're saying to him, if you're going to say this to his dead fucking body, or you're going to say it as you're walking away, man, your dog and your cat too. You know, like who gives a fuck?
You, the widow, Rick.
Brooke says, and a couple people have said that Savior reminded me of a Jim Carrey character or something. Was Jim Carrey the guy playing that? I wouldn't doubt it. That guy's out there right now. It's okay. Now I'm triggered, Phil. Did you ever finish your countdown of your all-time favorite TV shows? Not yet. Not yet. I'll be doing that at some point soon. It's always moving. It's a tough thing to do.
Put your head on a pike will do just fine.
Oh, what are we in Game of Thrones for a second there, Tony? We're gonna put your head on a pike and make you look at it or something. It's
a lot of Game of Thrones, a lot of Private Ryan in this episode when you really look at it. But yeah, that's what made this episode. I think that's what made it good. But this motherfucking guy, come on, brother, shut your fucking mouth already. I mean, it's just too much. It's too much motherfucking and he's not even like spitting it out. He's pausing in between. Put your head on a pike. He's got to pause it and make it all dramatic. Come on, man. Shut up.
He's like never enunciated before. Every other line that he said in this whole episode's mumbling, but in this moment, he's like enunciating every word so carefully. He's like, listen, I'm gonna put your head on a pike and kill you. It's tough. And so he talks and he talks and he talks and he talks. And right as he's about to kill him,
maybe break it up a little.
He keeps talking.
Avoid the obvious symmetry.
He's still talking. And he's talking enough time for Jerry to come in with a huge scream and chop him in half. So then we go to more gunfight with Carol, 4 versus 1. She's like the sword of the morning here. These 4 people have no chance against her. And she throws her gun away, and she's like, listen, guys, listen.
Just let me live. They're hiding out, waiting for other saviors to show up.
Nice and slow.
I'm no big city lawyer, but I don't know who I'm friends with. So Carol kind of, okay, Tony, you're in this situation. You're a savior with half a brain. This person was just firing against you in this situation. Again, I ask you, do you ever allow her to talk for too long here? Do you buy this line of bullshit?
You know, number one, she's not hot enough to live. Number two, besides that, you know what I mean? There's no reason. It's sure that if you spilled a drink on me in a bar at me, you know, you're gonna catch it. So there'd be no other way. How you? Just let me live. Brat. This like brat. As soon as she opened her mouth, brat, it would have just been done. I would have shot her dead, and that would have been it. I mean, I don't understand what these people are thinking, and these people know that these are the main people. It's not like they don't know that's Ezekiel. He knows who he has. They know that these are the main guys, and they're not taking them. These aren't the little munchkins running around here. You got the main leaders here. These are the guys on the playing cards. You know what I mean? The main guys, the king and the ace and all that, and you're not taking them out, and they have to go out. And she should have been dead alone. It wouldn't even last. It was me. It would have been a wrap for her. It would have been a done deal. This was kind of like, this was almost Tony Montana-ish on Scarface. You gotta let, you know, at least the guy got behind him and took him out in that one, but he talked a lot of shit too, boy. They let that guy just run his fucking mouth after he busted a lot of bullets at him. I would have killed his ass too, Tony Montana. Let him talk all that shit while he didn't let some guy come behind him and shoot him with a shotgun. He would have been dead way before that shotgun guy got there.
Cockroaches, you fucking cockroaches. And Tony is Rorschach. The music through that sequence reminded me of Fallout 4, says Cataget. Tony, LOL. Carol aroused me, says Chalk Boy. She ain't Rick, the widow of the king, so they should have killed. Broke. Oh, great to see you, Broke. You don't shoot down girls if there's a chance they sleep with you.
Look, listen, if Pamela Anderson jumps from behind that shit, you're gonna pause, right? I don't care what you're thinking. I don't care who you are. If you're living in that type of power, look at these guys, these deliverance-looking motherfuckers, right? This is who they see every day of their life. So if all of a sudden she had her shirt off, Pamela Anderson in her prime, or Diana Ross, or Beyonce, or anyone you want to say, Jennifer Lopez, whoever, Selma Hayek, whoever float your boat, jumps from behind there with the gun, you can pause then, and I would understand if you paused. But if goddamn Aunt Esther jumps from behind the car and Edna Garrett jumps out, brah, I'm not pausing at all. If the Golden Girls jump out, unless it's Blanche.
Come on, Blanche.
But if it's Dorothy, brah, you're dead, Dorothy, you're gone. That's it. That's the way it goes.
I'll be having Betty White. It depends how old
Betty White too. Yes.
How old Betty White? So as Antonia Major says, I just want to read this comment. I might have zipped over it. Neither Carol or any of the saviors ever hit any windows or tires on any of these trucks. What the actual fuck? I was thinking about that a lot too. That they were like when they were aiming for the cars. Isn't the first thing you try to go for the wheels, like you shoot wheels out? It makes a lot of sense, but yes, I don't know, whatever. And I like that Carol at one point in this episode, and I'll talk about it in the notes when we get to it, that she actually mentions ammo. She's like, I bet you're out of ammo. Like okay, suddenly ammo's an issue. Like suddenly.
All of a sudden, this is a goddamn Call of Duty game, and all of a sudden you want to talk ammunition? You know, I don't understand it. You know, it just didn't make any sense there. It's funny that they did bring that up there. You know what I mean?
It's just like, okay. That'd be like someone saying to Littlefinger, you know, Littlefinger, that trip's going to take you 2 years to get someplace. And he's just like, yeah, don't worry about this. You know, you don't just step again. That's another moment where they sort of like raise the curtain and they're like, yeah, we're aware that we're using a lot of fucking ammo. Suddenly ammo's an issue. Like, give me a fucking break. Have a good night, Mary. Thank you so much. And
Mary, why you bugging?
I need your love, Mary. So we go over to Ezekiel and Jerry, and he kills a few more. He gives him his word, and he's like, let's listen. Well, that sounds weird out of context.
I'm gonna borrow this for a sec.
So they go back and forth for the sword. Don't fuck with my illusion. And ultimately, this scene is him saying, "I'm not your king," or we maybe get to that a little bit later. But Jerry, through this whole situation, is basically saying to Ezekiel, "Don't fuck with my illusion. I need you to be the king. I need you to be the leader." So we go over to Carol, where she eventually gets into her Batman predicament, where the vicious choice here, where Carol outsmarts these saviors. She grabs one of them, holds the knife to the neck. They're like, Joey, sorry, you're fucked. And they kill Joey. But whoa, what the fuck just happened? Did you hear that?
Yeah, I did hear it, but it seems like you're right.
No, I'm all right. It was some weird. I'm having a lot of weird technical difficulties, everybody. I apologize, but there was some weird. Maybe I shouldn't talk about this. I mentioned something. Someone just popped in and said, "Don't talk about this, asshole." And we got Jay in the live chat. I would shoot for the person in the side of the car after hitting the walker in the head. You'd have to be a great shot or be dead. Ren says only attractive women deserve to live. Ren asks why they have to walk in the kingdom.
Can I say something real quick? Because I don't want to make it look like that. You know what I mean? The Don Tony Teflon. You know, I've had my nights, so. You know, I don't think that there is a particular style of woman that is attractive. I think that you can find anything in a woman attractive, right? Which whatever floats your boat. But when we're dealing with a shootout, the situation we were in, now I'm trying to figure out why somebody would pause instead of killing this woman point blank. And the only reason I could see is if this chick had some big old bitties and she had them hanging out and she came around there and you're hanging out with Toothless Joe right here the whole time. Then you may, you know, your finger may loosen a little bit on the trigger right at that particular time. That's what I was saying. But real quick, I didn't say it. When this motherfucker, another Game of Thrones reference, this fucking chopped this dude in half like the fucking Hound on the Battle of Blackwater Bay with this fucking axe. You know what I mean? And I thought that scene was great. I thought that, you know, and you need, as I said, you need something to look up to. You need something to fight for. In this world at that time right now, there's nothing to fight for. That guy probably doesn't have a lot of family, doesn't have thing. It's Ezekiel. That's his image. That's what he's fighting for. He's fighting for this guy's speeches. He enjoys hearing his speeches. It's basically if you had, if it was a world apocalypse, all of a sudden you were a Justin Bieber fan and you ran into Justin Bieber. You're going to follow whatever this guy says because you're a fan of him. You follow him. You believe in him. He believes in Ezekiel when Ezekiel doesn't believe in himself because that other guy, because of the situation that he put himself in to get his people killed, even though you have to understand that when you go to war, people are going to die. And I didn't think he really understood the consequences of war. And he had to deal with the consequences of war. And it was too much for him to deal with.
Yeah, he also started to believe his own bullshit to a certain extent, I think, and started to forget how, as you were saying, the actual consequences of a war in this situation. And especially, it's to go another Game of Thrones thing. It's like with Robb Stark winning every battle at the beginning, and you win. You get so focused. Even if you don't want to be egocentric, if you're beating everyone at the game you're playing, you're not prepared for the reality of life, that no matter how good you are at doing something, there's somebody out there that's even better or can like put you in your place and put you in perspective. I don't care what you do. I don't care how good you are at doing it. There's somebody out there that can be like, okay, fuck, you know, you're out of your element. And that's that kind of situation right there.
No doubt about it. And that's where he finds himself in. And I thought that the actor did a good job portraying it. I thought it was believable. You know, I love the line when he just says, when they're trying to carry him, well, that's going to happen. I think that comes a little with Karen. So he's like, this ain't going to work. Yeah, he just gives us, this ain't going to work, you know. But also, I will say this, after that, I don't know if we got here yet, that was the best depiction ever. And this is when we get The Walking Dead. This is the best depiction ever of a goddamn lock I've ever seen in my life. Because you can't break these motherfuckers, all right? You can't. I know everyone was sitting there when he was hitting it with his axe. You're thinking that this is going to fall down. You see it in the movies. Guys shoot it with one bolt. These locks just shatter into pieces. They fly open. And you thought he was going to break it with his axe. No. You are not breaking no fucking lock with no fucking axe like that. And that was very realistic. And I appreciate them putting that in there.
Yeah, unless you're the fucking mountain. And Brooke said we should rename this for Game of Thrones too, for all the references. Okay, and Ren says, Tony, I get it now what you were saying. One of the saviors has a scope in his rifle. He could have sniped Carol. Carol's out of my league. I'll get Mrs. Niedermeyer or Olivia, says Chalk Boy. Carol has an invisible shield. She was just trolling. JW says, remember when Fred gave Esther the clear plastic wrap of a Halloween mask? The old heathen. Tony, can I get Aunt Esther's number? K. Rich wants. Hey guys, thought I'd pop in. Says, I haven't seen the episode yet this season. Gonna binge watch when it's over. Is it good so far? I feel like this season's pretty good. It's better than last season, and this was my favorite episode of the season, E. Martinez. So I think if you hated last season, you're definitely gonna think, you're gonna think that this season is a bit of an improvement. And JW Flux, hold that question off to the end. We will definitely answer that question at the end, because and make sure if anybody has any questions they want to get in the voicemail line at 781-990-8509, 781-990-8509. You can also text that line, or you can, if you're in Europe, you can add me on Skype at I Got Issues Man. We can try to get you in that way too, if you'd rather that. So okay, so let's finish off this episode. We got a little bit more to go. Carol and the Saviors, we get just a back and forth with them. We kind of already talked about this. And then it turns into this huge action piece at the end of the episode where the gates start to open behind the guys that are threatening Carol. And then we get Jerry, who can't open the lock, as Tony was talking about, kill some walkers. Ezekiel's like, yeah, we're fucked here. Let's just have our final fight for like the 5th time in the episode. Ezekiel's like, okay, fine, let me die. So but he doesn't just lay down. He gets his sword and they both start to fight off. He goes, "Thanks, Your Majesty, for being such a cool dude." It's kind of
real quick, Phil. Let me say this
Absolutely.
about this whole situation that's a little bit bullshit. Especially, I'm gonna say I'm a black man, so I can say this and don't take this anyone take this any way. But you're talking about I can't get over a fence. Are you out of your fucking mind? Black man not be able to get over a fence with one leg? I seen black dudes get over the fence with one arm, no legs. All right. He should have been able to get over that motherfucker. I don't give a fuck what the fuck he's talking about. You ask any black man in this world, can you get over that fence with one leg? Shit. They would have been over that motherfucker that quick. So that was a little bit bullshit there. There's no way he shouldn't have been able to get the fuck over that fence.
He's like, I can't do it. Leave me. Just leave me right here. I can't. No, it just again proved that he just wanted to die. And they get back and forth a ton of bullets. Carol says, we need to end this thing. And she goes, you're a liar. You're a fucking liar. And Carol says something about ammo. They ran on ammo, whatever. Then she sees her friends and she makes the decision to kill the saviors or save her friends. And we continue on, and let's go. So we get to a flashback in the middle of nowhere to tell us that Carol likes Ezekiel. We hear how he was trained to fight with Shiva and what he must do, and that he was a zookeeper and he was meek, and those nights he fed his tiger, and that she loves his tiger, and she looks at him with reverence and asks, and it's all about he needs to be a hero. He's a hero, Tony. I personally did not like this scene. I thought it was kind of unnecessary, just like a filling out time thing. I don't know if you felt different, Tony.
Yeah, the flashback was just poorly timed. It didn't need to come in there. When you have you done built me up. It's basically like you took me to the top of the roller coaster and then you turned off the power before you let me drop. That's the way I felt there. Like, I didn't need to see that. You could have did that earlier. I would appreciate it then. But at that particular time, I did not need that flashback. Not a lot of shows know how to do that right. I'm going to say that I think Vikings is probably, when you look at visions and stuff like that, they are the best at it. And people should watch that show. If you haven't watched the show, if you want to look at any flashbacks or visions, those are visions that are great, that you can really, that when they pay off later on and stuff. I mean, going back to the last episode, with Rick and everything else, and the little bear. You talked about that. I'm sure y'all talked about the little bear and stuff in the bed. And then who is that little girl in the flashback holding that bear? Is that the girl from the crib, or is that a different girl and stuff like that? I thought that was handled well, the way they did that, and they put that little mystery element in it to make you unaware. Is this going to be the little girl right here that she got the doll with? Or is it going to be someone else carrying the doll from that baby? I thought they got that right. But this one, I thought they got wrong.
Yeah, I agree. And 1998 champions on your other point said, preach on, Tony, especially if the dead's chasing you. Get over that fence. Cat gets
over. Are you crazy, Phil? Come on, Phil. Hey, Phil, you know what adrenaline does,
dude. I've not been into touch. I fractured occasional arm as a child. I've ran from the cops. When you're running, you get over anything. You have that crazy adrenaline strength where you can jump. Like me, I'm a fucking. Like I can't jump with shit when the cops are on you and you get the adrenaline. I can fucking jump a fence.
I've seen people hit with cars and roll right off
and just keep going, Tony.
Like it's nothing. Like it's nothing.
They die an hour and a half later from internal bleeding, but right after that, they fucking run, dude.
God. So this guy, I can't get over this fence. Shit, are you crazy, bro? They could have did something better than that. You know what I mean? But all these motherfuckers behind me, I would have been over that. I would have jumped on that motherfucker's shoulders. That big motherfucker should have threw him over that fence and just held him and just tossed his ass over there and shit like that.
Shut the fuck up and get over the fucking fence. The scene was there to show that just like Carol had to lose to make her who she is today, King Ezekiel is about to have one himself. I just think it could have been connected to the scene we got at the beginning of the episode. You could have, the episode we would get the flashback of him about to give the speech. You stick this moment with him and Carol in that beginning part of the episode too, where he's talking and where put it with the other flashback. Don't put another one randomly in the middle of the episode to help us see how Carol makes her decision and almost, in a sense, take away the drama of the moment of her making that decision. Instead of cut away and like seeing her make a difficult choice of what she has to do, we cut away to this flashback emotional moment about how she respects Ezekiel, and then it flashes over to her saving the day. And so anyways, so they're about to, and Carol smiles and says no, and she's getting ready, and the van rolls off. Darryl and Rick are ready for some action. Oh, I'm sorry. So Carol opens the gate, and Jerry and the King get through, and they close the gate, kill some walkers, and they're safe. So Carol smiles and says, oh, no, those guys aren't getting away, and they're in trouble. And she smiles like she knows that Rick and Darryl are out there. And then we turn into a slight other section of the episode, which I think was really fucking awesome. And to me, this is where The Walking Dead can be one of the most fun shows on TV, when it's shit that just doesn't make sense, fun action, superhero Rick, superhero Darryl doing some fucking Fast and the Furious bullshit here. And Darryl gets knocked off his fucking motorcycle, Tony. Knocked off his motorcycle. It's like Excite Bike here. The motorcycle's not damaged. He just goes, gets on his bike and rolls back up in there. I fucking love this shit. This is so over the top. You were talking about video games at the beginning of the podcast. This is like video game obstacles as they're going, like dodging walker bad guys as Rick's riding up right next to him in the car. Like, hey, dude, you stop. This is hilarious.
That this was definitely a whole video game episode. If you took a video game, you would stage the stage, this is what it would be. And that's the way they shot this shit. And that's kind of like why I like this motherfucker. Now, dealing with Kara real quick, I didn't know that weapon is so accurate from so far away. But besides that, she did her job and everything else. Rick and them, when you see these dudes come out there, I like to see him. It's very far-fetched, but I liked it anyway. It was real good, especially going back to the bullets. How did that guy stay in that truck with that door open like that, with his legs not pressed up against nothing, just going back and forth? I've been in. I'm from the oldest generation where there was no car seats when I was growing up. I know what it's like when there was no drinking, when your parents just drank. There was no DWIs when I was young. None. That wasn't even a law. You could drink all you want and drive. That's the way it was. You
go to like a football game or a basketball game with your parents. They get shit faced, throw you in the back of the truck, like no seatbelt in the back, drive home like bum.
Gone. You go. They get drunk in fucking Pizza Hut. Pitchers of beer. That's the way it was back then. They don't serve beer in Pizza Hut. No, pitchers of beer in Pizza Hut. Getting drunk in Pizza Hut, leaving, smash, and you tumbling in the back seat, laughing all the way, going back and forth. This guy is just sitting there like he's got motherfucking Gorilla Glue on his ass with the gun, not moving at all, just on the swivel. And to talk about ammo, how much ammo did that motherfucker got?
Talk about a bad shot. How fucking he's not shooting the tires. Someone mentioned this earlier. He's got a fucking huge girder gun like situation. He's not shooting the fucking tires. Daryl's dodging bullets on a fucking bike and gets knocked over, but he keeps going.
It makes the killing blow.
Death blow. He gives the fucking death blow. So it's just a video game, obstacles. It's no tire shooting, horrible. He's on the bike. So he's in the back pocket. Rick goes up right next to him. He stops him. He jumps out of the car. He does some weird, crazy action shit where he like jumps in the car, stabs the guy, and then jumps out of the car. Daryl comes back, heads down, and goes to the car. He's like, "Are you okay? Let's go make sure that guy's dead. We're action heroes. We're fine." And Rick and Daryl talk.
You look like shit.
We have some comedy.
Let's go see if this asshole's alive.
And what you can't see or see when I play back the audio is Rick's look on his face for this whole situation. This is played off very like Tango and Cash. Oh, Tango, you look like shit. Okay, Cash, go fuck yourself. It's just a sort of back and forth with the two of them. That's very fun, and I like the show this season playing to their strengths, putting these two characters together as they're their own strike force, and the ridiculosity to the plot armor that these two people have laugh. It's like Jon Snow in a pile of fucking whites. So you're just like, I'm not dying, motherfuckers. Fuck you.
No, those guys will never die. I said the only way they can die is if one of them kills the other one. That's the only way you can really go out with them. There's no other way. It's like a Tony Soprano situation. You look at the Sopranos. If you really look at the whole series, Tony killed his whole crew. His crew didn't get whacked by anyone but him. I mean, he was the threat to his own crew more than anybody else. He was taking all of his people out. So I think the only way when you have a character that's as popular as Rick, as popular as Daryl, has to be a conflict eventually, and one of them would have to take the other one. All this flashbacks to them at the table eating turkey or duck, or whatever that bird is that they're passing around. I don't know. I just know it ain't chicken. I'm black. I know chicken when I see it. I know it's not that. And when they're passing this shit around and everything else and it's going down, that's not going to happen. That's why they're showing it. Something bad's going to happen. One of them's got to get taken out by the other. That's the way I see it. Don said it. Maybe not be first, but I said it here, goddamn it.
So they come in, and Jerry and Carol and the King are fighting to stay alive. And Carol, and again for the 77th time in the episode, Ezekiel's like, "Leave me here to die. I can't go on. Get out of here." And Carol's just like, "Listen, bitch."
Lower him down.
All right. I can't really. The audio is horrible there. Carol's like, "You don't get to do that. No, you're not doing that. Shut the fuck up, dude. Get the fuck up." So suddenly we're in the toxic waste dump and the toxic Avengers, and it's kind of cool effects with the walkers. They look cool here. And Ezekiel again says, "I can't do this." And they're like, "No, dude, you got to make your way through here." And
I'm not your king. I'm not your majesty. Look at what's in front of us. That's what's real. Go.
So Ezekiel basically breaks it down to him. "I'm not your king. I'm not your majesty." He tries to be a hero. He tries to die. "I'm not your king. And I'm just some guy." And just as he said some guy, Shiva shows up and gets surrounded by the walkers. The walkers decide to ignore the humans, and they all surround Shiva in a perfect circle. And they all attack her and bring her down. I know that this moment was supposed to be played for high emotion, and again to make reference to it, not specifically to what happens, but in a way that in like a Summer, in a direwolf kind of like strong, emotional, dragging, caring about like a big creature in a sense, the Marley and Me Lassie kind of way. But I didn't feel the connection to Shiva, because part of the problem is, as effective as this episode was, it's a little bit like maybe if last season was the season of all the flashbacks and learning about characters and all of that, it's a weird thing because I care more about Ezekiel after this episode, but so I feel like maybe it would have been better if I got some of this shit earlier, because it seemed like, okay, I care about him, but I just couldn't care about the tiger, Tony. I don't know what Tony the tiger. I don't know why I didn't care about the tiger. I didn't.
I hear you. Look, so I never heard a man call me Tony the Tiger before, but the women say it all the time. Anyway, besides
you're great.
Besides that, I will say that this is not a direwolf. This is not Ghost. It wasn't set up like that. We didn't grow up with these direwolves when they were young. They came in late in the game and season. He was already full grown. He just growled next to him. They didn't really show him that much. It was pure CGI. So you didn't really get the chance to really bond with him. It wasn't like he was walking around all the time and people were petting him and feeding him, and you had a chance to develop a relationship with this tiger. What it was just set up for was this for this. You hear the guy tell you that I'm no one. I'm not this. I'm not that. But all the people that he mentions, they're no one too. There's nothing special about anybody. There's no such thing as royal blood. There's no such thing as this person is better than me because he's born into this family. There's none of that. None of that matters. You are special as those people because the people believe in you. And that's what makes you special. And that time Sheba came in to say, hey, I'm no one. Yes, you are someone. And that's why they had the tiger take his life. And that's what's going to give him the strength to go on and carry on, that he has to avenge this lion, was not lion, tiger was able to take his life. I didn't like the way the tiger died. I mean, I didn't like it. There's something similar in the books, but or with the tiger getting surrounded and all that, but I didn't like it. I knew it would be hard for them to do with the CG and killing it, but it wasn't. It wasn't a direwolf from Game of Thrones.
This is where I'll lean on your, or this is where I want to lean on your actually having read this. Is it more effective? A similar thing I know happens in the comic. Is it more effectively done in the comic?
Everything is.
Everything is. Ren Renward says, you were so on tonight, Tony. Shiva is okay. Nicholas jumped on top of her. She went under the dumpster. She's okay. She's not going anywhere. All I know is my boyfriend's going to see that. He'd be sad. He loves that tiger. I think a 5-pound house cat could have put up a better fight than Shiva, says Steve.
Wait a second. Let's go through that too. These are goddamn acid. I don't know if acid shoots out of them like the aliens, or the alien zombies that got acid blood and shit, that when you touch, maybe that's the case, because the only thing I can see why it's the fucking tiger, right? I'd seen a dude just come there, slice these zombies down, slice them down with fucking pocket knives. It's got claws and everything else. It weighs 300-something pounds, 400 pounds. It should be tearing through you should be able to jump on its back like He-Man and ride that mother. In fact, they should have had Ezekiel jump on his. That would have been hilarious. Jump on his back and ride that motherfucker to safety, and then
the music plays. I thought it was interesting because when we've seen Shiva in the past, she'd been able to kind of like rip through walkers pretty easily. So she didn't just kind of like rip through one and jump out of there or something like that. But it was Shiva got brought down. I'm hard-hearted, as someone said in the live chat. Yes, it didn't get me. It's so much of this episode got me, but the tiger death at the end, the big emotional moment, I almost thought it would have worked better. And I know he has more to do if this episode had been Ezekiel's end. If he had somehow died in this episode and this was like a full beginning to end arc for him to show how this all causes his death. And I think it could have been like a hugely awesome episode. Not that I want Ezekiel necessarily off the show, because I think you could do some interesting things with him from this point on after he's sort of learned his lesson from all of that and can drop the shtick and just be a character. But it could have also been very effective if this was his downfall ultimately.
You needed somebody to die. Some guy, some human being should have died. They gave you the tiger and they thought, all right, we're going to hold you over with that. But the way it's set up, someone should have died. One of those 3 people that were with him, whether it's Ezekiel, Carol, or I can't think of his name right now.
Gary.
One of them should have died. You know what I mean? And that's the way it should have went out. That would have made the episode great. That would have put it over the top. And this is kind of what held the episode down a little bit, because this plot armor with these main characters, they got to start thinking about this. Maybe I don't. If they're thinking. If the mindset of the producers of the show is we can go on forever, these people are never going to die. They're never going to be in situations where they can die. That's why you need to start building this, knocking some of these people off.
That's the fucking problem with the show, is that because they have no necessary end game point in time, these characters are, no pun intended, Teflon. Like they can't be fucking stopped, and it makes it a lack of drama to the only point when these characters can die is when they act stupid. Like when, the actor that plays Tyrese, Chad Goldman's like, I want to do other things, so they have to make him stupid for a moment to kill him. Or something like John Barenthal, and I know Shane would have died eventually anyways, but like wanted to do other things, not being on the show, or the character that plays Dale or something, whatever. But now that the show is a success and big, they're getting away from what made it awesome at the beginning and what made it, I know this term isn't used as much anymore. It's kind of a cheesy term, but what made it what they called in the 90s water cooler discussion. The Walking Dead, like anybody can die at any time. Any of your main characters. It's what initially made The Sopranos successful at the beginning too. I remember listening to like generic cheesy, like, hey, this is W666345. We're coming to you live at AM 2:30, talking to you about The Sopranos. Who's gonna die tonight? Will Pussy die? Will he die? And like show like that feeling of will your main character die or not kind of pushes people's excitement and wonder, especially in a show like The Walking Dead, where you're dealing with these forces of nature, zombie fucking creatures. You're setting up a scenario now where anybody that has this main character stuff isn't safe. The Walking Dead isn't something that can rely on plot. Something like Game of Thrones can do that with the big deaths and shit like that, but that's not what Game of Thrones is from a structural standpoint. It can be deep. It can be character heavy. It can tell a story at its best. Something like Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad, even all those shows, they have more to do. The Walking Dead, when it's at its best, is not a very deep show. And when they try to do that stuff, that goes against like what makes it great. What makes it awesome is that fear, that feeling that any main character can die at any point. And they've lost that, Tony. They fucking lost that.
They definitely did. You know, that is what you need. If you had the beginning, even with Game of Thrones, you're not sure. Someone could pass away. Someone could die. Anyone could die at any time. Even at this point, people can die. We're at the end, but we know a lot of people are going to die, but anyone could die. And that's what they were in the beginning. They changed up, and it's like, what do you want to be? You have to ask yourself, do you want to be a Lawrence show? You want to be that? Because you know Pam ain't dying. You know these people ain't dying, right? You know Martin's going to be there every episode. You know you're going to get the same. You're going to get Gina, even though when they broke up, Gina did leave for a little bit. But you're going to get Tommy. You're going to get Cole. You're going to get the same cast of characters. And you know, a couple of guys coming in as co-star, and they're going to leave, and that's it. If that's what you want to be, that's what you are right now. You're doing a great job. But if you want to be what you used to be, you got to kill one of these main characters. They have to go, and not at the end of the season. And just like you said earlier, it's because they don't know what they're gonna do. They're like, "Hey, are we gonna get rid of Daryl right now? How is it? We're gonna go 10 more years. How are we gonna get rid of Daryl right now? How are we gonna get rid of Rick right now if we're gonna go 10 more years?" They don't know what they're gonna do. They have to start, and that holds back the development of other people liking other characters. No one can take those two guys' place while they're there. Fans aren't going to care more about anyone else who comes in the show as long as those two guys are there.
That's the tough thing about television, Tony. You're 100% right. That's the tough thing about television. And spoiler alert, minor for Vikings. Vikings is trying something very fucking unique and awesome this season, coming at where there's a changeover from a main character to a different thing. The show is continuing without the main character. And I'm not going to get into that. It's history, so I feel like it's less spoilery to talk about Vikings, but whatever. So it's The Walking Dead could have done something like that and make it in a world where Rick could die, Rick could go. But on television, it's so tough. Do you protect those main characters because those sell the shows? It's an interesting situation, but I feel like that's where you lay into that problem where if you don't have an end game set, it's hard to have stakes. It's hard to push because you can kill characters if you know the show's ending in some point.
Yeah, if you have that many stars like they have that they don't want to kill, spin these fuckers off into something else. That's how it works. Spin Carol off, get her out of here. Spin Daryl off. He's popular enough that let me tell you, if they would have did Fear the Walking Dead and they would have came out and said Daryl's going to be in the first episode, it's his show, how many people would have watched that? Everyone would have went over there.
It would have been crazy. Or if you just do like a Daryl's Adventures sort of series, you just have like Daryl going off and doing.
I gotta leave for a second. Goes on his motorcycle, takes off. Fear the Walking Dead. Daryl's in it. You're gonna show what he's doing, and then he comes back, and you keep going with those other characters after he's established them for you. That's how you get people to care about other characters. They're not doing that. These guys are too big right now. It's like killing off George Jefferson and Wheezy. Yep. The show's over. You can't do it. There's no one. No one want to watch Lino. I don't want to see Lino and Jenny. Jenny's got a nice ass. I wouldn't mind probably, but that's not George and Wheezy. You watch the Jeffersons for George and Wheezy.
It's like when Sanford and Son, when he's like, "Kill me, I'm coming to see you." What was his wife's name? I'm coming to see you. If he had actually died, you'd be like, "I'm not watching this show anymore. I'm not watching this show for the rest of the dudes on this show. I'm watching this show for Red fucking Fox." So let's get through the end of this episode. Then we're gonna take some questions and stuff like that. And huge thank you to Tony. I saw Joe Dirty Locks in the live motherfucking chat. Great to see you, Joe. Thank you for checking on in.
I'm trying to hold it down for you, Joe. Hope I'm doing all right job. I'm trying to hold it down here, trying to keep it in line, not make the show drop when Joe ain't.
You're doing amazing. It's awesome to have Tony here. It's I wanted to make it not as long, like it was far too long to have you on here once, so I couldn't wait to have you back again. So it's great to have Tony here tonight. So they finally get back to the kingdom. All sad music. Ezekiel limps through all there. The people are excited. A boy comes over to him and goes, "Say it ain't so, Joe. Say it ain't so. The tiger's not dead." And he can't face them. He just heads off, and Carol and Jerry and everyone's sad. And that's the end of the episode. But fear not, everybody. The preview show that your favorite merry prankster, Negan, is back next week. So also, who's back next week is Joe Dirty Locks. So ultimately, Negan, Joe's favorite character is Negan. So they know that Joe's going to be back for the Negan episode. But we're going to take some questions. I'm not going to let Tony get out of here quite so soon. So everyone, thank you so much for joining us in the live motherfucking chat. And thank you, everybody. Lacey, great to see you. Great to see Catagate. Great to see Broke. Great to see Igor. Great in there in the live chat. I haven't seen you in a while, buddy. Hope all is well. So this is the first question that we have. Oh no, let's play our two voicemails too. Voicemail line is open. If anyone wants to get any voicemails or texts in, you can do that at 781-990-8509. I think we have a couple of voicemails for Tony from Felicia. So let's listen to this. I have a feeling there's gonna be some shit talking about. So let's see what Felicia has to say to Tony.
Yeah. Don't watch Walking Dead. Watching the Pets game, and Brady, the GOAT, as always, and Tony. How about that Jets game?
Oh my God! Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard it. I heard it. I heard it. She said, "I'm watching the Pats game, not the Walking Dead." Tony, how about the Jets?
This is what let me say.
I'm sorry. We're trying to
say this. To these guys, and I'm going to say this very respectfully to my people, to these mass holes.
I know. I invite Tony over.
Let me say this to these people, and I love it all. Listen, if you really feel that you're going to insult me by saying the Jets lost, you must not understand I'm a Jets fan. We always lose. We ain't never won. So saying that the Jets lost, I expect us to lose. This is what it is. There's nothing big there. All I care about is beating the Patriots at least once every season. That's all I got to do, and that makes my whole season. And I'm confident we're going to do that. So this was a rebuilding year. We ain't never every year's a rebuilding year. As soon as the Jets season starts, we are officially on the clock for the next year's draft. That's the type of team I root for here right now. But so I appreciate that, Felicia. You get your little digs and all that, but you better hope you don't see the New York Giants in the Super Bowl. That's what I just say, which is a good chance you won't.
Lisa says, just in all fairness, she's not a masshole. She's a Rhode Islander. LOL.
Oh, all right. It's Rhode Island. I'm sorry.
Fair. But no, it's okay.
I mean asshole with all the respect that I think that a New Yorker gives a sports fan from that area and stuff.
Most people from Massachusetts own that with a smile on our faces. So this was a question earlier from JW Flux. Which Game of Thrones character would be best equipped to survive The Walking Dead? I'll go first on this one. For I think the mountain, is that a cheat? Is it a cheat to say the Franken Mountain? Because no one's getting through that shit. So yeah. I'll go with that one, Tony.
Yeah, House Clegane ruled this world. In this world, this was a world right now. House Clegane rules for a very long time, just out of fear. But once again, when you're in a group with people and you have someone like the Mountain, you go out to the bar and you got the Mountain with you. If the Mountain is the leader, you're all going to jail that night because you know he's going to do something stupid. You got to have someone that the mountain respects, like a Tywin Lannister, to say, hey, calm the fuck down. We ain't doing this tonight. So they would rule for a little while, like any mad dog will, but eventually they would get put down, and that would be it. But I would say that, I mean, to play the whole Game of Thrones, I think that Littlefinger can come in here crafty enough and take over and get people to believe in him and follow him. You got to have someone who people want to inspire. Stannis Baratheon, obviously, without a doubt, and Davos would do very good here because he inspires people to fight for him. If you have anyone that anyone follows in a world like this, Daenerys would do good. You just got to have someone that people believe in, and that's what it's all about in an apocalyptic world.
We got a couple of suggestions from the live chat. Steve says 1-1 Ren's 1-1 would be awesome, but if Ren 1-1 ever turned, there'll be a lot of problems. And I guess I'll hold off on that. Yeah,
1-1 is like Andre the Giant in the Battle Royal. Everyone knows you got to get him out, right? When Big John's studying these motherfuckers in there, you see everyone go, they attack him, they flip him over the top rope. That's what happened to 1-1. They know that there's too big of a threat here. He got to go.
It's always one of the tag team members from a team that wins, like Bret Hart or Shawn Michaels or something, when he was on the Rockers of the Hart Foundation, that they end up winning the Battle Royal because everyone's concentrating on the biggins. And I know this is where I get cheesy because I actually watch Survivor. It's like when you go to Survivor, the big crazy athlete that's kicking ass in Survivor and the camping guy, everyone gangs up and votes that person out. So it's always the least expected person that ends up winning the shit on the island because they all vote out the fucking tough motherfucker.
Yeah, only way you win in Survivor if you win every challenge and you get the immunity island. Then that's all. If you put yourself as that much of a threat out there, you have to win every individual challenge up until that point, or they're gonna vote you the fuck out.
Or find immunity idols or do some fucking bullshit like that. Yeah. Tony, do you watch fucking Survivor?
Watch Survivor, yes, of course. I love it.
It's funny, like I don't watch any other fucking reality shows, but I've watched Survivor since day one, and I think of it as more of a game show than a reality show.
Bad. In the beginning, they was eating rats. Like, we really thought they were like, hey, these guys are here eating rats. And then you start realizing, hey, these motherfuckers ain't eating rats for real.
No, they're really eating rats.
But in the beginning, you really thought it like, they're going to have to eat rats on this fucking island and everything else. And then you start realizing, hey, it ain't like that.
No. They're hanging out. They got tents, they got condoms, and they get they get toilet paper and shit like that. There's a lot of shit they get, but it's a fun kind of cheesy game show that they end up watching it for the most part. But anyways, okay, good. Now that I know that I can bring Tony on a Survivor podcast at some point. Anyways, so Tom says I ain't caught up with The Walking Dead yet, but I gotta ask, is this the after show? Yep, it is the after show. Tom, take a drink, motherfucker.
Yes, sir.
But I do want to, we'll start to wrap things up here. I want to say a huge thank you to Tony for coming over here and joining me for this recap and review. Tony, thank you so much. And we're not going to go quite yet, but Tony, if people want to find you, where can they find you?
Well, thank you for having me. You know what I mean? I'm honored to be here on the Philly Issue Guys channel and stuff. You can always find me, Tony Teflon Don, Teflon TV on YouTube, Teflon TV on Facebook. In fact, all you gotta do is Google Tony Teflon.
You can do it.
And I am the Don. I bumped Tony Blair all the way down to page 3. He used to be #1 Tony Blair from Prime Minister of Britain, but now it's me. He's all the way back on page 3. Only thing pops up is me. Just Google me up there, and I really do appreciate it. And like my videos and watch it. We do Game of Thrones stuff. We do, boxing shit once in a while. We do mostly Game of Thrones, but we throwing a little boxing, and we throwing in a little bit of comic book movies in there. We're gonna be doing that. I'm about to do my Thor Ragnarok review, which I don't think people are gonna like, but you're gonna get it anyway.
I can't fucking wait, Tony. So a couple things here. So first off, next week, Joe Dirty Locks will be back on the recap. The week after that, we're going to be joined by a very special guest, Nick Diaz from the Midnight Chat Attack. I don't know if anybody out there knows Double Toasted, Corey Coleman, Martin Thomas, Corey Goodwin, a lot of awesome people over there in Austin, Texas. One probably the best podcast, entertainment podcast out there. Fucking amazing shit, Double Toasted. The Chat Attack is it started out as a bunch of fans and people that help out the show. They do their own podcasts and stuff. Nick Diaz is going to be joining us. Midnight Chat Attack on YouTube. Going to be joining us to do The Walking Dead in 2 weeks. And then on the mid-season finale, The Walking David will be back. Joe continuously will only be able to join us every other week on The Walking Dead, but I also want to extend an invitation to Tony to join us in the second half of the season for another recap for The Walking Dead on one of the weeks that Joe can't come, and maybe at one point get you and The Walking David on, maybe on the season finale, have you pop on in if you happen to be around too, and join Walking David and I for some silliness if you're down for that.
Yeah, I'm honored to even be asked. If you need me anytime you want me on, I'm definitely here to be on. Definitely jump on here anytime and talk a little Walking Dead with you. Oh, Walking David, I definitely talk with him. Anyone else you brought up on here, I'm dead down is with it. Thank you for asking me. Just hit me up and I'm on. I'm here. I'm whatever you need me.
And lastly, Tony, you and I have both done similar yet different podcasting lists. You did something that was the funniest people list. I did something that was the best stand-up comics list. And you proposed something during that podcast about us doing some sort of collaboration, a different thing. But since we did two different things, we're missing one of the three. So you did all around the funniest people. I did stand-up comedy, but we didn't do like funniest in the movie performances or in the television, like funniest people in a single performance. What I'd like to do, since we've did that, is do something. We can talk more about the details of it off the air. So of course I want to put you on the spot on the air, but we should do something where we do half on our channel, like do a top 10, and we'll do like half here and then half on your channel, and do a top 10 best single movie performances, like something like, you know, Robin Williams in Coming to America, Eddie Murphy in Coming to America, and Good Morning Vietnam, Eddie Murphy in Coming to America, Eddie Murphy in Beverly Hills Cop, whatever, like top 10 best single performances in like a movie or a TV show by a comic.
Yeah, I'm definitely with it. I did my video only because you did your video, and I like the people you were picking on your video, but there was a couple people that's so low. I had to pause. I was like, my heart was stopping. I was like, what? Eddie Murphy's at 9? I was like,
right. So I'd be interested to see how many Eddie Murphy movies are in this top. And I don't know if that will specifically be the thing, but we should come up with something to do, and we'll like do it with like half on my channel, half on your channel.
No, I'm definitely with it. Definitely with it. Definitely. I would love to do it.
Cool. Perfect. So yeah, so now that I've put Tony on the spot, but no, thank you so much for joining us, Tony. Thank you to everyone. Sorry for the technical difficulties at the beginning of the show. I'm having some, it's weird. I bought a new microphone and then like everything goes to fucking hell. Like the whole system like fucks up just because it's a new fucking microphone. Maybe the microphone's fucked up. I don't know. But thank you to everyone for bearing with us, and sorry, Tony, for the bullshit at the beginnings for the for all that shit. But everyone, yeah, make sure you join the Discord. Make sure you check out Tony's channel. If you haven't, you can find the link to his channel in the description box below. If you're listening to this podcast later, that's, as Tony was mentioning earlier, Teflon TV. And if you haven't already and you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Share the channel with a friend. Thank you so much again, everybody, as I scroll over to some fucking motherfucking music. Thank you, everybody. We'll talk to you guys next time. Later.
Peace.
Fucking motherfuckers, and stay fucking sexy, motherfucker.
Stay sexy.
Now, no, wait, I was gonna play that out. Wait, I don't have any music. I don't care. Have a good night, everybody. Later.